Hello, hello. Welcome. Hello on Zoom land. Hello in Facebook. I'm so excited you are here. Cheryl's cooking and Don's painting. Hello. Let me know you're here, where you're from. I see you. Beautiful. Oh, welcome. Hello. I see you over in Facebook as well. Hello. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Megan. Allison. John. Hello, you guys. Hey, Patty. So good to see you. Awesome. All right. Guys, I am like just buzzing over here. Welcome. Welcome to day one of Mirror Mirror. And if this is your very first masterclass with me, I am so thrilled that you are here. I love that this is where your journey is beginning. Let me know in the comments. I love seeing who's stepping into this work for the very first time. I see some hearts. So good. Hello. And if you've been in my world for a little bit, if you've done a few programs with me or maybe a few dozen, tell me which one's been your favorite so far, what you're really looking forward to. Oh, I love it. Love it. I feel just like electric right now. From the moment I started mapping this out, I could feel something inside of me was shifting too. It's really stirred up a lot of energy. I know if you are in our current ecosystem, I've been like dropping things, transmissions into you as they've been coming in because it's been definitely a divine intervention. It stirred up a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, and I'm going to be honest, it gives me all the feels. I'm not nervous, like, oh, I hope this goes well, but it's more like a cellular knowing that something really big is coming. Like I've done hundreds, if not thousands of lives over the years. I've built lots of programs. So I don't really get nervous anymore, but I can say that I know the feeling in my body when something is extraordinary. That's how I'm feeling about this. The energy is moving right through me. It's different. It's big. It's really big. And I know it's because you're here. I see you guys popping up the comments. Hello. I'm so glad you're here. You know that moment where you have that turning point and you're just like, not coming back from that one. I hope that Mirror Mirror becomes one of those moments in your life that you look back on and say, that was my turning point. That was where I had my breakthrough. Not just with even any of your goals or your businesses, but just even the way that you see yourself. Because that's what this experience is about. It's about how you see yourself in the mirror, how you speak to yourself, how you hold yourself, how you calibrate to your energy, to your becoming. This is really potent. Let's let more people into Zoom. Hello, you guys. I want this space to really be a catalyst for your expansion in your life, in your business, in your family, and just in your identity. And I want you to really walk out of these coming days with a completely different relationship with yourself. so that you are rooted in your power, in self-trust, and an influence that radiates from the inside out. And the things that are going to come out through here are out of this world. Whole other dimension. I've been thinking thoughts while mapping this out that I'm blowing my own mind here. I never thought I could think. And specifically over the next few days, we're even going to dive into things like influence and power and money. 3 different frequencies that when brought together, they create this like quantum change. Nobody talks about them. Nobody puts them together. And like, really, I don't say that lightly. But when you enter this space with openness and willingness, you're going to feel it. That shift in your body, that click in your awareness, that activation on a whole different level. So here's how this is going to work. We're live today, and then we are going to be live 4 more times if you've upgraded. And I'm going to drop the link in the chat so that you can upgrade for the rest of this conversation. You'll know if this is the conversation that you need to be a part of right now. You'll know. And the reason there's an upgrade to it is because I want you to have even just this small piece of skin in the game so that you're going in. And each session is going to be built on the last one. So look at this as a journey. It's not a class. And if you need anything at all, we have the most incredible vibe team. They're in the comments. They're supporting you in the chat, but you can also reach out to them directly you can email us at hello@delynmiller.com or just DM us. DM me on Messenger. We got you. We're here for you. And every single one of us on the team is fully committed to helping you with your growth for what's possible inside this space. So after each live, my team is going to upload it into YouTube. So there'll be subtitles there. So if you're in another country with some different languages that you prefer watching there, that's okay too. You'll have nice, easy access there. And you're also going to receive, as long as you've registered, you'll receive an email with the replay link as well. And everything is designed to be simple and seamless and supportive. Because when you make a decision to start diving into this work, it's no joke, that's for sure. So as we do get started today, I want you to just inhale possibility and exhale everything that doesn't serve you in this very moment. Because this right here, right now, is the start of something really, really powerful. I got all the butterflies. All the butterflies are coming up, knowing what's about to unfold inside of Mirror Mirror. I know it's going to change lives. So, why Mirror Mirror? Even just saying it out loud has a frequency. This has been a long time coming. It's been calling to me quietly. By quietly, sometimes not so quietly, like literally waking me up in the middle of the night. Not with like, fear, but fear. Until finally it was time, and it's time right now. And you know what? I really think that even had I put something like this out like a couple years ago when it was first coming to me, I don't know if the way I'm about to have this conversation that everybody would have been ready for it. but I feel like something has shifted. Like even in the internet land, there's like a different level of maturity that I'm seeing that didn't exist before. It's like this wisdom, this lived experience. I'm seeing people talking actively, that have been through the fire, who've lost and rebuilt and healed and risen, and who now are ready to look in the mirror and see, like really see, not to judge the reflection, not to fix it. You're not broken, but just to understand it and to meet themselves at a really deep soul level. Because what we're talking about here, this isn't just mindset. It's not just performance. It's identity work, it's energetic work. It's about who you are when no one's watching and how you meet yourself at every single moment. That's what Mirror Mirror is. Like this is designed to be an invitation to face your reflection with truth and love and to remember who you are beneath all the noise and realize that the mirror has always been your teacher. So in this masterclass, we are going to dive into some pretty big misunderstood frequencies on this planet. Specifically over the next 3 days, like I said, we're going to be looking at influence, power, and money. And I know even just saying those words can stir up some things. I've been doing this long enough to know that they are often met with an abundance of discomfort or shame. But they're not things to avoid. When we talk about them the way we're going to talk about them over the next few days, I want you to look at them as sacred portals. Because influence without power collapses. Power without love corrupts. And money without alignment becomes empty. It's just money. But when the three come together in integrity and awareness and truth, they become this alchemy, the holy trinity of modern embodiment. And it's in what this entire masterclass and really the entire Vibe Co is built on. So I don't want you to just watch this. I want you to feel it. I want you to walk away each day, not just thinking differently, but vibrating differently. Because transformation doesn't happen in the mind alone. It happens in the body. It happens in the energy. And it happens through calibration. So you're going to hear me use the word calibration a lot. So what do I mean when I'm speaking about calibration? If you've ever, I'm going to use this analogy. Excuse me. If you've ever played a guitar, you know this. I didn't play guitar, but my sister did, and I watched her often calibrate. You know when the strings shift out of tune? And they still make sound, but something's like off in them. The resonance isn't quite right. So you bring in the tuning fork, or you bring in another guitar and you strike it. Or you strike it and it sings. One pure, unwavering note just fills the air. And you bring the strings of your guitar to match that sound, and suddenly, harmony, clarity, alignment. That's calibration. And that's exactly what we're doing here together. I'm a firm believer that as humans, we are tuning forks for one another. When your energy is off, when your inner strings are stretched, when your tone feels sharp, when your rhythm feels off, you don't need to fix it. You just need resonance. You need to be near the vibration that feels like truth. That's what happens in spaces like this. When we come together, we create harmony. Our frequencies sync up, our nervous systems soften, our bodies remember how to hum at their natural pitch again. That's why I use the word calibration so much in my work. You're going to hear a lot about it. Because it's not learning something new. We're not in it. This isn't school. It's about returning to that natural state. And this right here is actually where the names of the main spots that I hang out in are the Vibe Code calibration centers. That's where it came from. Because as I began teaching and helping people remember in this work, I realized that not everyone wants to stand the same distance from the tuning fork. So if you're new to our ecosystem, you may not have heard of them, but there are 3 calibration centers: align, activate, and embody. And some people just want align, which, by the way, align, completely free. Everybody get in there. Again, we'll put the link in the chat. Get in there. There's so much goodness to be had in there and such an amazing community. And it feels so good to take it out of social media. Social media is noisy, right? Not necessarily something you want to calibrate to. So come into the frequency of this. So it's called align. And for some, they want to go deeper, not just to hear the frequency, but to activate to it. They start tuning their strings and start practicing and playing to feeling their own frequency again. That's what the activate center is. And then there's those that they are fully attuned and they don't just want to hear the note, they want to play the song, they want to be in the band, they want to embody it. And you guessed it, that's what the embody center is for. Each level is just proximity, not just to me, but to your own frequency, to how close you want to sit to the sound of your own truth. So when I created Mirror Mirror, it wasn't just another program, it's an activation portal. A mirror that reflects back to your frequency that you've been broadcasting. And it helps you to tune in higher. Because when you look in the mirror, you're not just seeing your own reflection, you're seeing your calibration. You're seeing what you've allowed yourself to calibrate to. So my deepest intention for you in this space is that every time you hang up from one of these sessions, you don't just understand something new. You feel something new. That your body literally, hums a little lighter and your mind feels a little clearer. And you just sense it deep in your soul that something inside of you is finally tuned back to the truth. Truth is the highest frequency. Because when your energy aligns, that's when your life starts reflecting it back to you. So every single day, we are also going to have draws. Okay? So in your email and on social, you are shared some visuals, or you can even just take a video of me talking right now, or post your biggest aha moment, but just tag at the Vibeco or at Delynn Miller so that we can track it along. And I'm going to have 5 winners that I am giving $555 to in frequency funds, which is our own Vibeco bucks. And you can spend them however you want. Programs, experiences, retreats, calibration centers, you do you. So share it, tag it, spread the vibe. And then we also have our affiliate program. And this means that if you are sharing about the masterclass and tagging me, you're naturally going to be talking about it too. So we're going to drop in the chat as well the affiliate link. We'll also make sure that this gets sent out in email, where when people join using your affiliate link, you'll receive 10% for the lifetime of that client, which initially you're going, not a big deal. But over the course of the lifetime of that client, that's a big old thank you right there. and the link will stay active, right? So if someone enters the Vibe Co ecosystem through your link in 6 months from now or 10 months from now, it still applies. And honestly, I love giving back because so many of you share so generously and you bring others into this work and you help expand this frequency. It's what you do. And I believe that that deserves to be celebrated as well. So, beautiful souls. I think we've kind of covered all the little pieces of the puzzle now. Shall we begin? Okay. What we're about to dive into today, I've given you an overview. Like I said, it's probably one of the most important conversations that I'm going to show up in, whether it's in life, in business, and in energy. And the first thing I want to explore is influence. Now, this entire module is really about context. Okay, setting the foundation for everything that then is going to come next. I got to lay the foundation. Because out of all the questions I've ever received through DMs and podcasts and coaching calls and all the things that I've done over the last decade, the one I get most often is, Delynn, how do you even create what's been created? How do you create the feeling, the community, the connection? I love your energy. Can I have your energy? Not because, guys, I don't have any marketing tricks, but there's something magnetic that happens. So people ask, how do you host? And people show up, open, ready, alive. How do you create that kind of energy, that kind of movement? And my answer is always the same, that it's not about strategy first. It's about frequency. It's about influence. There is a difference between inspiration and influence. And for you, you might be looking at this for a business. You might be looking at this in your relationships, whether with other people or with yourself. But when people are drawn to the Vibe Co, what they're really drawn to is the movement. Guys, we're never looking for the thing, we're looking for the feeling of the thing. They have a desire deep inside to create something that moves people, not just something that looks good online. But here's what I've noticed after years of doing this work is there are two frequencies that get tangled constantly, especially on the internet, and that is inspiration and influence. And while they might look similar on the outside, they create completely different results. So I'm going to ask you, because I see we have lots of different, everybody feel free, both on Zoom and on Facebook, let me know what field are you in? What are you wanting to take out of this? What is your goal? Where is it coming from? All right, so I see we've got lots of different kinds of, so we've got some network marketers, we've got some real estate, we've got some health goals here, we've got some marriage goals here, we've got some coaches and light workers. Awesome. Okay, so we've got some different sorts of people here. Okay? Now there's a difference. You want to lean into this. There's a difference between inspiration and influence. So I'm going to ask you this question. Have you ever had someone slide into your texts or your DMs and say, "Oh my gosh, you're so inspiring. I just love your energy. I'm obsessed with your message. That was such a brilliant quote you posted." But then they don't do anything about it. It's like crickets. They don't engage. They're just inspired for you. Even worse, they're like, You inspired me so much that I finally went and bought whatever. Even worse, is it something that you offer? How is that even possible? That one stings for sure. I mean, you're genuinely happy for them, but also thinking, if I inspired you, how did I inspire you straight into someone else's arms? It's confusing. Until you understand this, inspiration makes people dream, influence makes people move. Inspiration is what puts something on a vision board. Influence is what gets people to live it. This is what happens every single time. Influence makes people take action. Buy the thing, book the trip, make the call, start the business, change the habit. It's movement, it's momentum. It's a transfer of conviction. People know how to move, but people who know how to move people are limitless. Okay, influence, it's not about control or manipulation or charisma or anything like that. It's about connection. It's about truth, that highest frequency that I talked about. It's about your ability to stand so firmly in your energy that others can't help but calibrate to it. Because here's the thing, influence has much more to do with you than it ever has to do with them. Okay, inspiration is about other people, right? Trying to say the right thing or do the right thing or look the right way. Influence begins within. It's about being connected to yourself, to your truth, your purpose, your energy, so that everything you touch carries that same resonance. And in today's world, influence has been massively misunderstood. Like we see people online calling themselves influencers because they have all these likes or views or followers. And hey, that's you do you, that's fine, but that's not real influence. Real influence isn't about how many people watch you. It's about how many people move because of you. Like a real person of influence doesn't just capture attention. They create transformation. They move people to decide, to act, to become. Like think about major brands partnering with artists and leaders or change makers, right? The power isn't in the collaboration, it's in the movement that it creates. Because it shifts behavior, it creates action. Like that's real influence. Someone who collects attention but never moves people, that's not influence, that's noise. And I'll be honest, for me, I'm not interested in noise. I'm not here for vanity metrics. I'm not here to gather a crowd that claps, but then never changes. I am here to create movement. I am here to wake people up and get them moving and keep on going. I'm here to influence lives, not just inspiring posts. Because influence, you guys, true influence isn't about how many people see you. It's about how many lives are shifted because of your presence. That's what the mirror is today. Okay, so let's talk about you for a minute. You're like, oh. So we know from the chat what you do. We've got lots of different healers, creators, leaders in their own right. I see you. Okay, every single one of you has a space where influence matters. So tell me, if your life and profession, where does being influential make the biggest difference? Where does your energy, your presence, your truth actually move someone? Because the truth is you can inspire people all day long, but it doesn't mean that they'll move. Right? If you're a real estate agent and you can post stunning photos of homes all day long, you can inspire someone to dream, to picture their family in the kitchen and the kids in the backyard. But if you are influential, if your energy, your certainty, your grounded confidence help them feel that it's already their home, that's when they move in. That's when they buy the house. The house is already sold. Right? Or if you're an esthetician or a stylist and you're on the Instagram feeds and they're flawless, right? You got the lighting and the videos and the transformation. You might have hundreds of people saving your posts and being like, oh my gosh, this is my inspo. This is the look I want. This sounds familiar, right? This is what we constantly do on social media. This hairstyle inspired by, this outfit inspired by, this manicure inspired by, this caption inspired by. People are always talking about what they're inspired by. We live in a world that's obsessed with inspiration. But the truth is that inspiration doesn't build relationships. It doesn't build businesses. Influence does. Because influence requires connection, and connection requires emotion, and emotion is what moves us. You're a human. It's how it works. But here's the challenge is in a digital world, connection can feel harder to create. So you don't always get to sit across from someone and look them in the eyes and feel their energy. I see some people on the screen, some I've met in person, some I've never met in person. So how do you bridge the gap? How do you create a relationship with someone that you don't physically know, but who you energetically know is meant to be in your world? That's where the true influence begins. Because influence isn't proximity, it's just resonance. When there is a connection, then there can be an emotion. And when there's an emotion, there can be an influence. You've probably never been influenced by someone you feel nothing about. Even if the emotion isn't love, even if it's anger, frustration, or disagreement, you're still moved. Because emotion creates movement, and movement creates transformation. And transformation is what creates impact. That's the power. But here's where most people lose it. People who try to lead with their mind, who try to succeed by thinking their way into a connection. And again, you can look at this from your business, or you could look at this from a relationship. Doesn't matter. Okay? But if you are trying to lead from your mind, right, where you're sounding logical and polished and professional, but it's not felt, if being liked isn't the same as being felt, like if you can see that, when people experience you only in their head, you might be in agreement with them. You might get a, polite comment or a saved post, but you're not going to get transformation because influence doesn't live in the head. It lives in the body. It lives in the frequency. And it's not about saying the perfect thing. It's about being the perfect match. Like when I look back at anything that I've ever built, from being on my journey today, it's been rooted in influence, not strategy first. I've like played around with things, but it doesn't, I let it go pretty quickly if it doesn't feel right. I root it in influence, not strategy, not money first, not power first. but from the place where the results come. And what's happened is they come in the form of relationships with people that I adore. More wealth than I could have imagined, a business that lights me up, a healthy body that feels aligned with my life. But here's what I want you to hear is those things, the health, the wealth, the love, the success, they're not the cause, they're the effect. Every single one of them is the effect. They're the byproduct of the person that I had to become. And my becoming isn't even finished. That's the best part. So many people are trying to do it the other way around. They want to make the money first. Then once they're rich, then they'll feel powerful. And once they feel powerful, then they'll feel influential. But that's all circumstantial power. And circumstantial power will always collapse when the circumstances
today.
Right? The house
Just
sells,
takes
the
the
client
average
comes
is
in,
7
launch
times
flops,
to remember
and
something.
suddenly you don't feel powerful anymore.
Wow. Lucky number
True
7.
influence,
So
real
some
power,
people need to do it.
it doesn't rely on what's
But
happening
the other
outside
thing
of
is,
you.
if you do those
It's
symbols,
all about the
like
inner calibration.
knowledge, your head, that makes it
Influence
easier.
first is a completely different frequency.
Awesome.
because
Thank you, Linda.
can start from
Tuesday.
nothing.
Tuesday. Oh, next week, Thursday, they're going to the moat
Oh, are they?
at 3:45.
Okay.
Um,
They're going Tuesday or you said Thursday, right?
Thursday.
Hey, you don't need followers, clients. You just need presence. You don't need a stage to be influential. You don't need a big audience. You don't need people to notice you right away. You just need the energy that moves energy. And that's what influence is. And that's what you already have. I remember, you guys, oh my gosh, the very first time I did a Facebook Live, you can actually still go back and watch it. I honestly thought I was going to pee my pants. I had spent so much time trying to create, like, this is the stage I was at. I was like trying to create the perfect pre-recorded videos for my clients. Like, everything had to be polished and edited and beautifully curated. And one of my clients had asked me to make a short video because we were talking about toxic load, and I was saying how I made my own laundry detergent, and her daughter had really bad eczema, and I told her that I would make a quick video on how to teach her how to make her own laundry detergent. But then life happened and my calendar got away from me, and suddenly we were about to leave on holiday, and I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, okay, I have to create this. I got to create this." I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I promised her that I'd do this. She needs it now. I can't let it wait." So I grabbed my phone, I went to record, and it was already freaking me out because it was going to be like perfectly curated, right? It wasn't going to, all the things weren't going to happen. And in that moment, I realized that my storage on my phone, this was before like iCloud days, okay? I had no space left on my phone. And I just stood there like awkward laughter slash panicking. And then I heard this little voice inside of me say, "Just go live, just go live." And my logical brain was like, "Are you insane? Go live?" But I didn't have another option. I didn't have any other devices. So I literally just took a deep breath, went onto Facebook, hit the go live button, and told myself just tag her after, and started making laundry detergent. And even though I was shaking the whole time, again, you can go into the Vibe Co Essentials group and you can search laundry detergent and you can see this video, and I'm literally like freaking out. Okay? The whole time I was shaking. The video ended, and even still to this day, it is one of the most watched videos ever. And could I redo it? Sure. Sure. I get tags like at least like I'm talking like monthly. People will tag other people in it so they can make their laundry detergent. And it is literally my very first Facebook Live. And I get messages going, "Oh my gosh, thank you. Don't change this video. It's so real. Thank you for showing up even when it wasn't perfect. This is so helpful. It made me actually want to make laundry detergent. You made it look so easy. Thank you so much." I remember thinking, wait, like what just happened? That was the most unplanned, unpolished, imperfect thing that I've ever done. And somehow it reached more people than any of the videos that I had spent hours trying to perfectly curate. It was the strangest, most divine experience. Like a moment of truth that cracked something open inside of me. And I realized that people don't connect with perfection. And at that time, I had not admitted even that I was a perfectionist. Now I get it. Recovering control freak perfectionist type A right here. Okay? But people don't connect with perfection, they connect with presence. And from that moment on, I just knew you can absolutely touch people, move people, even transform people right through a screen. For those of you that have been hanging out with me for a while, you know, I have moments where we get talking about things. Like in our morning activations, there's days we're all crying together. We're located all over all over this planet and we're crying together. We're moved. So what happened in that moment was I started just studying other people's live streams. And I noticed a very clear difference between the people who were live but were like sharing from this really connected place and people who were coming live to get something. I could feel the difference immediately. And I was like, this is why I haven't wanted to do this. Because I never wanted for me to go live to feel like that. But at the same time, if I'm not offering anything and I'm not talking about anything, then what's the point of going live? So I studied people doing their live streams just for a bit. Which ones I would watch, which ones that I wouldn't watch. And it was the same thing every single time. The people who genuinely showed up just authentically with a real story, a message, something real, something tangible, something that meant something to them, I would watch the whole thing, even if it had nothing to do with me. Even if it was like an hour long, I didn't care. Even if there was some sort of sales pitch, I listened to the whole sales pitch and I realized I would buy things from live streams. And so because I would buy things from live streams, I got influenced to realize that live streams actually can help you serve people. So a little bit later, I had a client, this wasn't much later, I had a client who was really struggling to build her business. And again, I don't know why I told them this, but I said, why don't we do a Facebook Live challenge together? I'll support you and I'll go live with you. We'll do it every day for 21 days. And I started going live. Again, these are still posted in the group. And at first, no one showed up. And I mean, nobody. Like the beginning of those live streams were tragic. Like I'm on there and I'm like, hello, uh, let me know if you can hear me. I've been like, I'm sitting there live for 2-3 minutes. Can you see me? Is the connection great? Let me know. Press one if you can hear me. Like it wasn't good. Okay. But I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And eventually what I realized is that it started to feel like going live was speaking to the people that I knew in real life. Because those were the only people who watched me. So the only people who watched me were the real clients that I had in real life, the real people that I met at the coffee shop or that I met through my travels. And to be honest, I never really even considered that someone else would find me on the internet. I was going live for those people to strengthen my relationship with them. So it became for me, whenever I turned the live stream on, it was kind of like doing a FaceTime with people. And that's really what I wanted it to feel like. So it's the most random, unplanned thing I've ever done, and yet people gravitated to it. And then I'm getting messages. Can you show me how to make lotion? What other things are you using in your laundry room? How do I get rid of static? So I kept going. Honestly, there's so many videos of me just like me and my phone going, hey. And the next thing I knew, I'm showing people what's in my bathroom. Dave's like, were you just doing a Facebook Live from the bathroom? I'm like, I sure was. I sure am. We were just going through the pantry, looking at what natural tools I'm using. But then it just kept snowballing. And at that point, like this, I was also in network marketing. And I'd have people messaging me saying, like, how do I buy that? Can you talk to my sister or my mom about this? I'm having a few friends over. Can you come teach us about these things? So I started going into people's houses. It was literally all word of mouth. One person telling another person who told another person, and those same people would then follow me online. And it was organic. And I just kept showing up. Like at this point, I'm working still like 60, 70 hours a week at the hospital. But I just kept showing up multiple times a week. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have a sales funnel or a fancy landing page. I would just me talking. And I'd run into people in the grocery store and they'd go, oh my gosh, I watched your class last night. It was over an hour long. I didn't even realize how much time had gone by. I was just sitting there taking notes. It was all energy and connection and consistency. And before I knew it, I was at the top of the company and I was earning multiple six figures purely from sharing what I would have shared for free. Live, imperfectly, over and over and over. And now when people ask, they go, how you, and I say, you're going to wonder how you do things until you wonder how you did them. Because if you would have asked me back then, okay, Delynn, here's your job. Your job is going to be to make a six-figure a month business. And I would have been like, okay, how? Like, how do I do this? Like, where do I find the people? How do I find the people? What do I do? What do I say? And then I'd wonder, like, this can't be enough. This can't be right. But instead of focusing on that, I just focused on my word. My word is law. My energy. I matter. I lead. Speaking to people and then thinking, what is this common thread that I'm seeing here? What do I need to create here? So this is the question that I also get. Is you are so inspiring, but then they tell you, how do we work together? And that extra piece is the difference. And I used to be fascinated by this question because on the surface, we all do the same things, whether it's in business or relationships or health. We show up, we connect in whatever way our superpower is. It's me and my big mouth. I don't love to write unless you'll feel it. If you see a post that has a zing to it, it's because I literally used it as my journal. I love to use social media as my journal sometimes. I just get on there and go. But usually it's just me and my big mouth. We all talk about things that we love. We share what we believe in. But how are the results different? So here's where it's understanding the energy. Most people are trying so hard to explain what they do. They want it to sound right. They want it to make sense, to be clear enough for people to get it. Or they go on a date and they're trying to sell themselves. But deep down, they didn't fully believe the words that came out of their own mouth. They're hoping people feel the energy behind it, even though they weren't fully in the energy themselves. So what happens is the message comes out half owned, half embodied, half believed. And I started noticing it everywhere. In the way people were parenting, trying to have influence over their kids, and their kids are looking at them going, I don't believe you. It was showing up in people were talking about new relationships they were trying to build. And that's when I realized, and this is what something really changed everything, is that influence doesn't come from an explanation, it comes from embodiment. And this is where I encourage you, trust the process. Stop trying to explain so much. Because the moment you start trying to find the perfect words, you pull yourself out of the energy that actually moves people. Instead of thinking, how do I get someone to do this? How do I get someone to go on another date with me? How do I get my kids to listen? How do I get this person to buy for me? Shift it into, how can I lead the way? Like, allow that to drop into your body and ground it in your truth and speak from your story, from your experience, from your knowingness. And it doesn't matter. Honestly, everybody does lots of different things here. It doesn't matter whether you're selling homes or going out on a date, or you're trying to raise some teenagers, or you're running a restaurant, or you're leading a team, or you're building a coaching business, or it doesn't matter. What matters is how you show up. Can you speak from certainty instead of persuasion? Can you speak from embodiment instead of explanation? From influence instead of all the information? Because when you are fully in your body, when you are anchored in your own truth, you don't have to convince anyone. You move them. It took me some time to see these patterns very clearly, just through observation. But once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. And that's when I started building things that helped people stop talking about it and start becoming it. It's all in the becoming, because influence isn't about saying the right thing. It's about being the thing. That literally birthed One Thought Away. And that was years and years ago. And I haven't ever deviated from it. It still applies. That's the difference. What separates someone from truly being influential from someone who's still searching for the right words or the perfect strategy is not what they say, it's the energy behind it. And at the risk of sounding like my mother, she always used to say this to me as a teenager, Delynn, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Apparently I had an attitude, something, I don't know. You can imagine. But that's seriously the key piece, because the next part of the story is what shows it. Because the next part is the energetics. Okay, if you're new to this world, this is where the entire philosophy was born. I built everything, and I mean everything, organically. All through connection and service and talking to people and truth. And when I reached a certain level, something inside of me shifted. I had this huge drive to serve more people. I could have just kept doing what I was doing. I was getting great results. But I wanted to go bigger and reach further and expand this message. And I thought, okay, I finally have the resources to try some different models, to explore some new ways. So I did. I dove into all the things and I tried different systems, funnels and frameworks and algorithms and emails and launch calendars and all the this way and that way advice that you get online. And trust me, I learned a lot. And I'm grateful that I did some exploration. But I can tell you with 110% certainty that some of it didn't feel in alignment. And when something doesn't feel aligned, I can't play full out. I used to be able to fake it till I would make it, but I can't now. Because again, once you know, you can't unknow. When I am out of integrity with my energy, I disconnect from my influence. It's just not in me to force something that doesn't feel like truth. And there's always been a part of me that wants to go against the grain. My mother has many stories. So when everyone around me was saying, this is how you grow, this is how you scale, this is how the algorithm works, I was sitting there thinking, okay, but what about what the soul wants? Let's talk about that. What about the energy that makes it mean something? And that's when I started to become obsessed with the why behind everything. Why does one thing work and why does something not work? Why does one person's launch catch fire and the other one fizzles? Why does this strategy and this strategy, although they look identical, you've got two people that post the same thing, but it's the energy every single time. The answer is always the same: energy, frequency, connection. Done. And it doesn't matter, again, what you're doing, it doesn't matter. It's never this works because it works. I don't buy that. It works because the person behind it embodied it. That realization has literally changed everything for me. It's changed my marriage. It's changed the way I look at myself. It's changed my business. It's changed the way I interact with my clients. I stopped chasing everything and I started being in the energy of it. Because for every how to is a feeling. Behind every step by step is an energetic reason it connects or doesn't connect. And when I stopped asking what works and started asking why it works, I became a completely different kind of leader. Leader for myself, leader for others. I stopped being the woman who needed the perfect plan, which is exhausting, by the way, if you've never experienced it. I became the woman who could make any plan work because my energy was calibrated. I became the strategist, not because I memorized formulas, but because I understood frequency. And once I got it, once I realized it, that there's no one right way to do anything, you literally, the sky's not even the limit, you guys. You can grow, you can shift anything in your life, in your business, anywhere. It all works if you work. It's not about the system. It's about the state that you're in when you show up in it. If you've never held, like if I had never held myself to this new standard, it doesn't matter what I would have done. I would have just been forcing myself to be one way or another. And through all of it, something miraculous happened. Because remember, everything is cause and effect, and there's only one cause. It's you. It's amazing what happened. Everything started to follow. The health, the money, the relationships, the feeling of just joy inside of me. And this is the thing, is over time, I started making totally different decisions. And then it just would happen. Like clients would find me, the opportunities expanded. Because when you live in alignment and you understand your influence and you understand and are standing in your power, things like money aren't the goal. It's the result. And this is what I want you to remember. When you calibrate to your power, when you understand your influence, the money, the results, they will always come. It's not cause and maybe an effect. It's cause and effect. Like if I drop my phone, boop, it's dropping. It's if it flew up to the sky, I'd be like, what? I did not see that coming. It's cause and effect. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to prove yourself to it. You don't need to force it. You just need to hold your energy, honor your truth, embody your message, because that's what creates the ripple. That's what moves people. So one of the pieces in order to be an influential person is you have to understand that you have influence. You've got to own that. And to understand that you have influence is actually not as hard as most people would think. Because here's how it goes. If you believe in any kind of way that if you did something, there could be a ripple, and if you did nothing, there could be a ripple, then you understand your influence. And sometimes we get these things clouded because we think, well, do I matter enough to even have influence? Or I'm not influential, or people don't care. But is that really true? Or have you once gotten into a fight with someone because of the way you said something? Has anyone ever told you that they think you don't care about them? That's influence. Your behavior towards them influenced them to believe that you didn't care. That only happens if they care about you. So influence is more of a matter-of-fact approach to the concept of mattering. And if you've done some work with me in the past, we've done some deep work into I matter. It's a big deal. But this is even more powerful, and it's easier to touch. And it's the idea that I have influence. And if you boil it down, like even just think, if you have a little kid come home from school and they start saying bad words, and that's not the way that you talk in your home. So the first thing, your first thought is, who has this child been hanging around with today? Someone has influenced their language. Or if all of a sudden your child comes home from school and they're wearing pants halfway down their boxers, they've never done that before, you'd say, who is influencing this child to wear their pants like that? Or if your child comes home from school and suddenly wants tickets to a show or listens to a type of music that you've never heard them listen to, you'd say, who's influenced this child's music desires or likes? Okay, we're all very aware of influence. We're aware that people can be a good influence and that people can be a not so good influence. And beyond that, we don't think people need to be extraordinary in order to influence people. Because when you think to yourself, oh, someone has influenced my child to say the bad word, you're not expecting some adult or powerful person has entered their life. You're imagining some kid on the playground. Okay, so influence doesn't even mean that you're super rich or super talented or advanced. Like, this could be some 5-year-old on the playground influencing your other 5-year-old. It could be some 15-year-old kid influencing your 15-year-old kid. But this is why this concept is so extraordinary, because you can start influencing your life, your family, your friends. You can start influencing change everywhere in your life, in your business, with your bank account, with your relationships, without having to get any bigger or better or greater than you are right now. But you have got to be some kind of person in order to have influence. So if you can imagine the child that influences the other child by saying bad words at school, that child is probably outgoing or loud, or there's something about them. They're not just quiet and never talk to anybody. And then the only word they say is the bad word. Okay, there's something about their presence. There's something about the way that they are talking that has influence. They're a child though. And so shoulder to shoulder with your 5-year-old, all of a sudden your 5-year-old starts saying the language they're saying. And let's not kid ourselves, it's happened to all of our children. Okay, this child did not need to be 3 years older or bigger or prettier or more successful. It's an energetic thing, it's a feeling. That one child, your child that's looking at this other child, says, I like the confidence. I like how that feels. I like how that person sounds. I like how that other kid responds to that kid when he says the thing. I'm going to try that on. There's usually a connection or desire for the connection that creates influence. And when people don't think they matter, when people don't think they could influence, what they do instead is they take themselves out of the picture. And they don't realize that they're still influencing the picture, though. Like there is also power in your absence. So when you think that you're not enough and you take yourself out of the equation, it still matters. Like imagine there's another kid in the classroom. Okay, another 5-year-old that's actually the most beautiful, grateful, incredible kid. They're charismatic and funny and kind, but when they're on the playground, they see everyone's drawn to the person who's swearing. And they're like, nah, I can stay in my own corner. My parents taught me to manifest, and I'll just chill out with the caterpillars turning into butterflies, and I'll just be here and I'll do nothing. So the child stays by themselves. They're doing their own thing at lunch. They don't speak to anybody. And their lack of presence also influences the group. Their lack of presence influences the group because had they shown up, the group could have looked different. With the influence of a happy, magnetic, kind person, maybe the one kid that was attracted to the swearing would have been attracted to the manifesting instead. So without your influence, when you're not in the room, something doesn't happen. So here's the thing. You're more than an influencer. You're a person of influence. Let that sit. You are more than an influencer. You are a person of influence. So up until now, the fact that you haven't claimed that has made every single room that you've ever been in less amazing. But we don't think about that. We don't think about what life is when we're not in it. When we're not participating and going all in. If you get nothing else out of today, get that your presence creates an impact. And your lack of presence also creates an impact. And if you can just make peace with that, without even needing to go into the deep emotional, I matter, I'm good enough, that doesn't even matter. Because you can be a person of influence and bring all kinds of crap to the table that actually is the truth. So, as a person of influence, when you actually take this on, what you realize is that you are a person of influence. So, what kind of change do you want to influence? If you're not willing to claim your place, then your influence, like you, it's just going to the wayside. And as wild as this is, let's just say that what I've said today has already made an influence on your life. Let's just say that after I've had this conversation with you today, this FaceTime, you hang up and go, holy crap, where have I not been me in the room? Where have I let rooms exist without my presence? Just because I've had the whole emotional turmoil of will people care? It's like, who cares whether they care or not? You're letting a whole world exist without you. Seriously, if you can grasp the one concept of influence, your life will change. Let's just say today I've influenced a change in your life and you start actually showing up. You realize that you influence your relationship by who you are in a relationship with. You influence your children by the way that you parent. You influence your friends and how you are in your friendships. You influence your business by how you show up in your business. You influence your money by the way you show up with it. You affect it. You affect it in a way that you show up with it. You affect it positively. You affect it negatively. You affect it in its growth. You affect it in its destruction. You affect it. And imagine that I've given you this today and this affects everything that you influence in your life. Like, I want you to imagine something for just a moment. Imagine doing everything right, following the plan, checking the boxes, doing all the things in all the right order, the way that you were told. I get it. That was me. And by the time I hit 30, I had everything that I was supposed to want. The six-figure career, the man, the kids, the dog, the house, the partridge in a pear tree, the whole package. On paper, it looked perfection. Everyone around me saw success. But inside, I had built a storm, because here's the truth, is I built fast and I built through performance and not presence. Through doing. Oh my gosh, workhorse. No time for feeling. I was achieving everything that I thought I was supposed to, but none of it was built on a strong self-image. I wasn't connected to my higher self. And this was a problem. So while it looked like everything was coming together, what was really happening is that I was actually coming apart. It was like I woke up one day and I suddenly realized that I had built a life that I didn't actually feel like was mine. And because I built it out of alignment, out of proving and performing and people pleasing, and it wasn't sustainable. I could feel it, the burnout, the exhaustion, the questions I didn't know the answer to. Questions like, who am I if I'm not performing? What do I even want? Why do I feel so empty when I'm supposed to be so grateful for everything? And that was the scary part because the version of me that had built this life, the performer version, didn't have the tools to answer those questions. She could do, but she couldn't feel. And I could see it happening. The cracks starting to show in my health, in my relationships, in my energy, in my joy, because the same intensity that I had used to build it all now was dismantling it. I had created something very impressive, but it was built on a very shaky foundation. And I knew that just as quickly as I had built it, I could watch it all crumble. And that's exactly what was starting to happen. But what I didn't see then, but very clearly understand now, is that I completely disconnected from my influence. I thought my life was happening to me, that other people had the power, the luck, the opportunities, the circumstances, that I was just trying to keep up. But what I didn't realize is that every single choice I had made, every performance, every yes that should have been a no, every time I pushed down the truth just to keep the peace, I was influencing something. I was influencing my burnout. I was influencing my disconnection. I was influencing the slow
Which ones? Some
unravel
of the
of my
chip
life
chats?
that I had built. I had been influencing it, all of it, all along. I just didn't know it.
Mhm.
And that's when everything shifted.
Yeah.
When I finally
Write
stopped
yourself down. You
performing
never
long
read
enough
them.
to listen, like really listen to myself. I started asking new questions. I started reconnecting with my body. I started remembering that I am the influence. And that's when the work began, the inner work that would later become the foundation of everything that I
They
talk
had
about.
these marked down.
Because
They
when
were
I
$2 off a
understood
case.
that my outer
And
world
then I
had
added
been a
up
mirror of my inner
like
world, I
if you buy
stopped
it by
believing in the
4, if you buy it
structure and
by
I started
6, or you
building
buy it
from
by
within.
12. And by far that was the cheapest
And I
way.
realized that alignment isn't something you do.
They were 26 a piece then, which isn't bad, really.
It's not something you do. It's something you become. And that the most powerful influence you will ever have is the one you have over yourself. That's what this is all about. It's about the inner game, you guys. And that's when, for me, everything started flowing. Not just within my business, but when I understood my influence, when I understood this concept, this is when I started to really grow everything. My relationship with Dave, my family, everything shifted. My business, my life. And then when I understood the power even of online, again, you guys, the sky's not even the limit. There's a reason you're here right now. Okay, when you understand your influence, you can have mass influence. And people have cheapened it. And it's like, be an influencer. And people think the limit of that is how many likes you get on Instagram. It's not about how many likes you get on Instagram. It's how many people are sitting in the house feeling like they just had a life-changing interaction with you because of you. Because of how you moved the world. And that became possible because I realized that when I show up, I can influence. And when I don't show up, what I influence is that I'm not there. And some people might say, well, isn't that person just like staying in their own lane? The fact is, they have something to contribute. They're holding back. Can you just imagine, like, you take me, you take that decision of mine to realize that I can influence, I can make a change for just one person, I can make a difference. You take that away, and the thousands of people that I have been able to influence would not have been shifted today. it would be totally different. You have to realize and influence you first. I did this when I sold it all and moved to Barbados. Even sometimes when I look back, I think we should really put that story in like a museum or something. Because what we did, it wasn't logical, it wasn't strategic, it was spiritual. If you're new to that story, we literally sold everything in Canada and moved to Barbados. The cars, the house, the furniture, everything we had spent years building. Everything that represented safety and stability. And we moved to this tiny little island in the middle of the Caribbean. No roadmap, no guarantee, just faith. People thought we were out of our minds. And honestly, it could have easily been. But that move, that decision to let go of everything we had built became one of the most powerful calibrations of my life. Because when you strip away everything that's familiar, you meet yourself. Not the version of you who's performing, but the version of you who knows who she is, even when she has nothing to prove. For me, Barbados became a tuning fork. The people I hang out with every day in the activation calibration center they're a tuning fork. It's my favorite part of the day. It's where I learned that safety isn't in the house or in the title or in the bank account. Safety is in your connection to the source, to self, to your truth. And when I think back now, I realize that that line was made in the sand for me with that move. It was the moment that I decided to stop living according to what made sense and start living according to what made me come alive. To what had me stepping into my power. We're going to go more into that tomorrow. It was like a rebirth. But built on a completely different foundation now. And honestly, that's when the Vibe Co started to take place. Not as a business, but as a movement. It was born from the understanding that transformation doesn't come from chasing results. It comes from calibrating to the frequency of your highest self and then letting everything else rise to meet you. When things don't make sense, can you still step into your power and make the decision? And then the ripple effect of that decision, that moment of radical self-trust, it continues day after day after day. Because your influence on your life from that point just rose. When you're willing to let go of everything that isn't aligned, you become unstoppable. Unstoppable. You become magnetic. You become free. That's what this mission stands for. It's not about building faster, forcing harder. It's about remembering that you are the frequency. And here's the thing in life, you've already taken yourself out of rooms that you could have changed. You don't know what your power could have done to those rooms. You've been in relationships that you didn't use your influence in, and those relationships ended. And most of you even have a business that you have not been using your influence on. As a matter of fact, you probably try to convince yourself most days that it doesn't even matter what you're even doing, or who even cares, or what's the point. Influence is something that has to build. Like you build momentum. It's like the heat in an oven. You build heat in an oven. If you open the door of the oven to see if the heat's in there, you let the heat out. Okay, every time you check to see if your influence is there, you open the oven door. Every time you check to make sure people are watching or following you, is it working? Did it work? You disconnect from your inner knowing that you have influence in that room. You influence the room differently in that moment. So, one of the biggest concepts in development, and even within business, that has made the most impact is that, like, and honestly, I don't even think that people think of it that much, is that they actually can have an influence. Like, think of the influence that Apple has had on the telephone industry, the music industry, even social media, tech industry. Like, what kind of influence that Uber has had? What kind of influence that Instagram has had, or TikTok? And that actually determines their income. Like, people aren't linking influence to income. It's massive. We'll go into that on day 3. People want to know if it's a good idea. Is this business a good idea? I can guarantee if Steve Jobs had said, "Do you think turning a computer into a handheld device is a good idea?" Everybody would have been like, "You're nuts." Like, did you see Zach Morris's phone? The thing was crazy. Right? Or I don't think it's a good idea. I don't care if it's a good idea. I care if it's an influential idea. Who's going to move? Who's going to change? People want to know, is this a good offer? Is it a good idea? Doesn't matter. Is it an influential offer? Do people change from it? Do people move from it? Okay, emotion and energy are the real foundation. When we cut ourselves off, when we remove ourselves from our lives, and we remove ourselves from all the places from where we can have influence, when we remove ourselves eventually, it's as if we can't feel it. The more you feel consciously and stay connected to your feelings, the more influence you have. Like, think of artists, when they sing, you feel their music. People who write songs, you listen to their songs and it feels like they're describing your life. Like, that's influence. You can't write a song like that unless it's felt. They don't write the song like, I wonder if people are going to like it. They write the song like, the song is a representation of my life and it's going to influence either an emotion or a breakthrough or a realization or an understanding. This is the best movies do that too. They're funny, they're touching, they're making you feel something. Like, seriously, what makes a good movie? The one that you watched over and over again. It's the fact that it influenced you. You walked out of the parking lot after watching it in the theater and thought, it made me want to reunite with my long lost cousin. It made me want to fall in love. It made me want to grow 10 inches or go blue, live in Avatar land. Something happened after you left that movie theater. It altered your state for a minute. It influenced you. And the greatest artists, the greatest stories, the greatest companies, they've all have this in common. They've influenced. And they know when they're in the zone of their influence and they know when they're missing the mark. That's the energetics. Think of that feeling. You know the feeling when you're in the zone? When you're showing up and you're doing the thing and you're saying the right words, but something just feels off? You're not quite hitting it? But when you're in the zone of influence, when you're fully in your power, people feel it. They're with you. There's a frequency, a current. The air changes. It's like tangible. That's what we're talking about here, conviction. Because influence without conviction isn't influence at all. It's noise. Let me take that back. Okay, I gotta tell you the story. Back in university, I took a job at a call center. It was one of those like temporary student jobs where they're just, I'm just trying to make a little bit of money. Okay. And let me tell you, it was awful. Okay. We had like scripts that we had to read word for word. Every sentence had to sound exactly the same. Every call, every pitch, every close. We were just told, say it with enthusiasm and like smile when you talk and people can hear your smile. It was fake. It was forced. It still makes my skin want to crawl. And I remember sitting there with my headset on, reading line after line, trying to sound excited, trying to care about something that I didn't care about. And the whole time I could feel that that person on the other end knew that I was full of crap too. It didn't matter how perfectly I followed the script, it didn't work because it wasn't real. And after a month, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go. Not because I couldn't sell but because I was done with faking it. And I look back now, that was my first real lesson in influence. It wasn't the words were wrong. It was that the energy behind them wasn't mine. The person who wrote the script probably believed every word of it. They'd embodied it. That's why it worked for them. But for me, it was someone else's confidence, someone else's conviction. It didn't fit. And that's the moment when when you're saying something and that's not aligned with your truth, people feel that. They might not know why, but they can sense it. Hey, people don't respond to words. They respond to energy. If you're trying to convince instead of connect, you lose the spark every single time, whether it's in leadership or your relationship or your business. That spark is belief. And after that, I swore I would never sell anything ever again. I told myself, nope, not for me. I'm not that kind of person. So years later, when I was introduced to network marketing, I was like, no, on a rope. Because in my mind, that was sales. Scripts, pressure, convincing, fake enthusiasm, chasing. I was not interested. Like my call center memory started just coming back to me. Not in the same way, but more as a challenge. And I remember saying to myself, what if you could do it differently? What if you could just build influence that didn't feel manipulative, but it felt magnetic? What if your version of selling could feel like serving? What if it just came naturally? What if you pinched yourself every day and were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this for my work? And that's when I realized that it wasn't sales that I hated. It was disconnection that I hated. I hated the idea of performing for approval instead of leading from alignment. So I dropped the script and I just started speaking from the heart. And I stopped trying to close people and I started connecting with them. And the wildest thing happened. It worked. Because when your conviction is clean, when you're not about trying to get something for someone, but just about sharing something that changed you, people feel it. Okay, the difference between someone who influences and the someone who forces is very simple. It's belief. And again, it's going to show up not just in your business, but in your relationships. They're not going to believe you. Even when you say, I love you. If your love for self isn't super strong, even your Love isn't felt as strongly as it could be. When your energy, your integrity, your alignment all match, you don't need a script. You don't need the perfect words or the Hallmark card. It's just felt. That's real influence. And this experience taught me something very sacred. That conviction doesn't come from being polished, it comes from being present, from owning your truth, from letting your belief lead the way. I had to unlearn everything that call center taught me about everything so that I could remember that influence actually feels like. Okay, influence isn't pressure, it's your power. Not power over someone, but power within yourself. And when you speak from that place, you move and people move. Not because you told them to, but because they feel something in you reminds them of something that's just possible. Something else is possible and they want to embody it. That's the difference. And this is where so many people stop short. Most people aren't failing because they're not capable. They're failing because they won't test their influence. They don't hold their energy long enough to see the result. They turn it off too soon. But the moment you switch it off, you're still influencing the room. Your fear influences the room. Your doubt influences the room. Your hesitation, your uncertainty, they all speak volumes. You can't not influence the spaces that you're in. Even your absence, like I said, it influences the space. So you just got to ask, like, what kind of influence are you actually bringing? This is literally why the calibration centers within the Vibe Co were created. Because influence isn't something you do once. It's a practice. It's an art of staying in the energy long enough to calibrate your body, your mind, and your frequency to what you want to lead with. Okay, I want you guys, I'm going to wrap it up soon. Holy smokes, I've just been going on and on. Okay, let's visualize. I want you to just do a visualization with me, okay? If it feels comfortable, close your eyes. I want you to take a deep breath in, hold it, and release it. And I want you to let yourself drop just into this moment. And I want you to bring to your mind something that you deeply desire, something that sits in your heart, maybe even scares you a little. Maybe it's a relationship that feels soulful and safe. Maybe it's a business breakthrough, that next level. It's tugging on your spirit. Maybe it's money, impact, freedom, peace, whatever it is. See it clearly in your mind. And I want you to just hold the image for a moment. And I want you to imagine the thought that comes up when you start to doubt it. The thought that whispers and says, what if it never happens? I want you to notice what your body does. Where does it tighten? Where does it shut down? Okay, that's the energy of fear. That's what resistance feels like. Now I want you to take another deep breath. And this time I want you to imagine smiling. Imagine knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but just knowing that it's inevitable. That what it is that you desire is already in motion, it's already coming towards you, it's already yours. And I want you to feel your body open. Feel your chest expand. Feel the warmth that moves through you. Okay, this is calibration. That's the power of influence starting from within you. All you need is possibility. Because before you ever influence another person, you have to influence yourself. You influence your energy, you influence your mood, you influence how you show up in your relationships, in your business, in your leadership, in your home. You are influencing your results every single day through your presence. Your presence matters. Your energy matters. And so does your absence. So when you withhold your energy, when you shrink, when you doubt, that's also influence. You're teaching the world how to meet you. So tonight I want you to play full out, decide to go all in. Every conversation, every moment that you're in this space, let it be a reflection of your power. And then lead with your certainty, lead with your truth, lead with your presence, because that's what this work, this entire mirror journey is about. It's about becoming someone. It's about remembering who you already are. Its first mirror is this: you are the influence. And when you calibrate your energy to that truth, everything around you starts to shift. I am so grateful. Thank you for spending this time with me. Because today wasn't just about learning some concepts, it was about remembering something very ancient in your soul, that your energy, your presence, your awareness are powerful beyond measure. And your first mirror that we looked in was your mirror of influence. You saw that your outer world is always reflecting your inner world, that everything you touch responds to the frequency that you bring. And maybe to some things that I said, you felt resistance. Sometimes maybe you felt release. Maybe you caught a glimpse of yourself that you haven't seen in a very long time. The version of you who knows that she's here for more. And that's what the journey's about. It's not about fixing. You're not broke. It's about seeing yourself clearly and lovingly and truthfully, because you can't change the reflection without changing the source. And you, my love, are the source. So over the next coming days, we're going to keep diving deeper, because this mirror work continues to unfold layer by layer. Tomorrow in day 2 is the mirror of power. We're going to explore how ownership changes everything, how your energy shifts when you stop waiting for permission and start leading from conviction. Then in day 3, we're going to look at the mirror of wealth, and we're going to dive into money and worth, not as numbers, but as reflections of your belief, expansion, and energetics. Then we're going to talk and look about the mirror of alignment. And we're going to look at what it means to live in integrity with your truth and to make decisions that feel clean and connected and free. And then we're going to look at the mirror of embodiment, and we're going to bring it all together. Influence, power, wealth, alignment. It's going to integrate. Because the real work isn't what you do on camera or on stage. It's who you're being when no one else is watching. And if this work has moved you today, if you can feel that something is waking up inside of you, I would love for you to continue this journey with us. I'm going to drop in the chat so you can upgrade to the rest of the mirror sessions. They're here for $111, or you can step directly into the Activate Calibration Center. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Those spaces are here for you to stay connected to the frequency. And for those that have shared, I will be in the chat. Quick reminder that I will be giving away $555 in frequency funds that you can use for whatever it is that you want. So to enter, all you got to do is capture a moment something that really sat out with you today. Take a picture, a video of something in the session, and just tag me at the Vibe Co or at Delynn Miller on Instagram. And you can even use the hashtags mirror mirror and the Vibe Co so that we can find you. And every share enters you in. I want to thank you guys. Honestly. Let this awareness really settle in for you and ask yourself, where did I notice my energy expand? Where did I pull back? What would happen if I started influencing my own world, not by force, but by frequency? Bring out your journal, capture it, sit quietly, let it land in your body. Because every single realization, every pause, every breath, it's all calibration. So whether you continue with us over the next layers or you simply take this awareness into your world, remember this. Your life will always mirror the energy that you bring to it. So bring the energy that reflects your truth. Bring the energy that moves mountains. Bring the energy that says, I am influence. You are seen. You are powerful, crazy powerful. And you are ready. I will see you tomorrow for day 2, where we focus on the mirror of power. And it's going to change everything. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Bye.